Chapter 6. When I woke, there was a young native girl standing over me with a spear as if to strike. I let out a scream. I couldn't help myself. I think it scared her. She stepped back. The spear in her hand shook. She was scantily clad with only her privates covered. She was a beautiful girl with long black hair that hung loosely to her waist. Her large dark eyes were wide with fear. "Please, I'm a friend. I didn't mean to go where I shouldn't have if I did." There was just enough light coming in the entrance so I could see her things lying in the back of the cave. There was a woven mat and a bag lying on the floor of the cave. She studied me a moment and then said with surprise, "Woman?" "Yes, I'm a woman. But please don't try to throw me in that volcano, or we're going to have a fight." I believe she understood every word. After all I'd been through, I was not going to let anyone throw me in that volcano. She appeared frightened. Since I was too, I decided to make conversation to get rid of the tension I felt between us. "I'm Ermia. I came to find diamonds. There were people who took me. They said they would take me to the diamonds, but tried to throw me in a volcano instead. They said I was supposed to be a sacrifice for their gods." She followed me every word. She put her spear down and sat next to me. "Me too." "Me too what?" "They tried to sacrifice me too. I've been hiding in here. They need a pure woman to sacrifice." "Pure?" She smiled. "Never been with a man." "Oh." I thought about it a minute. "How would they know?" "I don't know, but they do." I sat there with this beautiful young girl with long black hair flowing over her. I noticed she wore a necklace with a diamond on her chest. It was encased in a beautiful shell. I gasped, staring at her diamond. "Where did you find this diamond?" The girl smiled. "Not far from here." She obviously didn't get as excited as I did over the stone, but still held it for me to see. "Please, you have to show me where I can get one. Then I can go home. I have friends in Telly who are coming with me, but we got separated." She stood up. "I can show you, but you must take me with you. They'll kill me if I stay." "Yes, and kill me too if they find us before we leave." I thought about it. I didn't think the captain would mind, at least. I hoped he wouldn't. "Of course you could come with me. What is your name?" "Hi." "Hi. Why don't you go home?" "I can't. I don't feel safe there." She looked like she was going to cry. "I want to go home, but I can't." "Where's your home?" I asked. She sighed. "The other side of the mountain. I was foolish. I had met a young man from the Modri tribe. He was very handsome. My family had warned me about the Modri, but I wouldn't listen. I ran away with him thinking we could be together, but he also wanted to throw me in the volcano. I'm ashamed to return home." "I'm sure they would be glad to see you," I said. I thought about myself. My parents would be glad to see me, even if I had run away like I did, against their wishes. They'd be glad to see me. I was sure of that. "No. Please, can I come with you?" Tears still ran down her face. I could see her distress. What could I say? Okay. I knew we'd have to hurry. Time had been lost on my abduction. I had to find a diamond before the ship left. They might leave me like they did that Tarber's friend. I hope not. "Have you ever dug for diamonds?" "No, but I know where they are found. My father gave this to me." She showed me her diamond again. "He showed me where he found it, but I cannot guarantee finding one." I showed her my bag. "I have tools." "Please let us go now. Once I have one, we can try to find our way back to the ship." "A ship?" she said with her eyes wide with excitement. "Yes, I come from far away. I work on a ship that brought goods to Telly." "I look forward to seeing your ship." "So do I. I just wanted to find my diamond and go home." Okay, let's go find the diamonds." With that, we gathered our bags and ran out of the cave. Once outside, she pointed across the mountain where more huge boulders lay. "There." More boulders. I really hated them. I never dreamed I'd have to climb over boulders. I followed her as she led me across the mountain. I wore no shoes and still ran with ease ahead of me. I couldn't believe it. Even with my boots protecting me, my feet hurt. This was another laborious journey over slippery rocks and boulders. When we stopped for water, I was glad to see my skin was in my bag and that I hadn't lost it in my flight. I looked back towards the cave. "Do you think they'll come after us here?" She shook her head. "I don't know, but we must be careful and move quickly." "What about panthers? I saw one earlier." "They're here. Just be aware." I wondered what good that would do. We had no weapons. That scared me. "But what if we do see one? What do we do?" I smiled. "I've never met one. Perhaps we could throw a rock at it to scare it away." That didn't make me feel any better. We had to worry about the Modri and a panther, and we had no weapons. I just wanted to get my diamond. "Are we going to the mine I heard of?" She scowled. "No. The diamond mine, Oro Pilo, as it was known, many other workers. The boss won't let them keep the diamonds and certainly won't let us dig there. There are many horrible stories about it. We don't want to dig there. I hear an evil man runs it now." "So how do we get diamonds?" "Maybe we can find some nearby." This did not sound encouraging. We had to find diamonds somewhere other than the mine. We continued traveling at a quick pace. "Have you been to the mine?" "I saw it once when I was very young, before the evil man took it over. It was a huge circle." I couldn't imagine. "A circle?" "Yes. They have different levels of digging. It goes very deep. The men are strong and have heavy hammers and chisels. What do you have?" I suddenly felt stupid. I had a small hammer and a chisel, but not heavy. I also brought a pan. I'd heard of people finding jewels by sifting water and soil. I called up to her who could outwalk me. "Hi, I have small tools. Do you think they'll work?" "I don't know. I will recognize the rock in which the diamonds are found. It is dark, almost black." I was flabbergasted. "Found in? What do you mean? I thought they were loose." "Sometimes, but mostly you have to break the rock to find it." Nothing was certainly turning like I imagined. "Okay, let's find the rock like you said." "Okay." We scrambled over rocks and went further up the other side of the mountain. I stopped and pointed to an outcropping of rock that seemed darker than most around us. "Let us try there." "Okay." I was exhausted from the fast walking. I wondered how I was going to hammer rock till it yielded a diamond. We approached the area she indicated. I put down my bag of tools. I selected my hammer and chisel. I walked over to Hai, who was kneeling down next to some dark rock. I knelt next to her. "Show me where I should hammer." She studied the surrounding rock and then pointed to a darker rock. "Here." I got close to the rock and placed my chisel on the rock face. I pulled back my arm, holding my little chisel for a forceful hit. The chisel slid, falling out of my hand, and the hammer hit me in the hand. I screamed in pain. "Ow!" I wasn't defeated yet. I picked up the chisel, and this time I put it in a spot that was already had a crack. I focused on holding the chisel. Then I planned the hit with the hammer. I struck. I did it. We both smiled. Of course, the rock didn't budge. Not even a shard came off. I tried again and again. After multiple hits, I had to stop. I was tired. Hai took the small digging tool I'd brought and started digging down into the earth next to the dark rock. She got about a foot underneath it and tried to chisel as I had. She put the chisel in from under it and upwards. She was strong. A shard flew up in the air. No diamond, but it was a start. The rock was so hard that when I tried hammering the rock, it would just go ting, and then hammer would just bounce off. "What if there are no diamonds here?" I asked. "Then all this work is for nothing," she replied. I was feeling very discouraged. The rock was too hard. How was I ever going to get a diamond? Despite my discouragement, I continued trying to hammer the rock. We had no luck. We decided to move a few feet away, but again the rock wouldn't break open. I wish Tarber was there. He was so strong and would definitely crack the rock open. By the time the sun started to set, I was so exhausted I didn't want to move. My arm hurt too. Hi didn't complain of her aches, but I was quite vocal. "Oh, I'm so tired," I moaned. "Shall we return to the cave?" she asked. There was no way I was moving. "No, I can't." I took off my boots and rubbed my feet. I couldn't go anywhere. My energy was gone. I was tired, and most of all, I was hungry. "Do you have any food?" I lost mine. She opened a bag with fruit. She handed me a piece of red fruit. It was very tasty. She ate another one. That little fruit wasn't enough. I longed for some bread, cheese, meat, anything that could fill my empty stomach. I was feeling dismal. I never complained. She ate her little fruit delicately. Perhaps she was savoring every bite because there wasn't much. She didn't fight me about not returning to the cave. I wish I could, but I was spent. She pulled out a cloth that wasn't big, but would cover part of both of us since there was no shelter. As the sun set, I started getting cold. The rocks dug into my back. I couldn't imagine having as much skin as exposed as Hi. At least I had clothes between me and the rock. I thought about Menace and Axe, wondering if they were looking for me. I'd thought about going back to Telly to find them. But after all that had happened, I figured they'd just make me return to the ship. I have a chance to find a diamond. I have to at least try to find it. Then we'll go back in time to reach the ship before it leaves. I still didn't quite understand Hi's reluctance to go home, but it'd be okay for her to come with me back to the ship. She was a nice person. I really bonded with her. It was strange, both of us being attacked by the Modrai. I couldn't wait to get my diamond and go home. I was uncomfortable, cold, and hungry. Tomorrow, I thought. Tomorrow, I'll get my diamond. My musings didn't last long. I was so tired I fell right asleep. The next morning, we both woke up with new vigor. However, our food supply was almost out. I had nothing. She had only those little red fruit, and there was only a couple more left. We decided later we would look for food. However, we were determined to dig that morning. She started by digging down in a different place. I would then take over with the hammer and chisel, praying for a sign we were in the right place. Halfway through the day, we stopped. It was a blistering hot day, and already I felt spent. Sweat ran down my face. My back hurt from bending down to get the rock. I was starving. We still needed to go look for food. Our water was almost gone. I lay in our hole trying to hide from the beastly sun that was burning me all over. "Do you know where we can find some water?" I asked Hi. "Well, it's not nearby, but we could be there before nightfall." Just the thought of maneuvering over the rocks again set me back. She must have seen the look of dismay in my face. "Ermia, we could try going to the mine to see if they would give us some water." "Really?" "It's closer, but I've heard bad stories about them." "Shall we go back towards the water to go to the mine?" she asked. I could sense the reluctance she had about the mine. Before she said some evil man owned it. Although I was tempted to see a real mine, I objected. "I suppose we should go back and find water." Then two large men appeared on the rocks above us. They smelled. One was fat with a big bushy beard. The other was skinny. Both were dirty, wearing dirty, grimy shirts and pants. All my alarms went off. They were armed with swords. "Go back where?" said the fat man. The expression on his face was smarmy. My instinct was to get as far away from these two as possible. I looked around, thinking how we could get by them. Then I remembered I had a hammer in my hand, and I could use it as a weapon. "Who are you?" I asked. I thought I would try to distract them so they wouldn't know how fearful we were. "You're savers," the skinny man said, answering with a grin. "Why?" asked Hi. I could tell she was scared as I was. They inched closer down the boulder to us. I made sure the hammer wasn't visible, but behind my back. The fat one looked down at our hole. "Looks like you've been digging. Diamonds? Did you find any?" He smiled. He waited for us to respond. We didn't. "Well, you see, this is Mr. Pilo's land. He wouldn't want you stealing his diamonds." "Well, we didn't find a thing. We're leaving anyway." "No," said the skinny one, "you can't leave yet. Mr. Pilo would want to meet you." "Sorry, I have friends to meet," I said defiantly. "Friends?" said the fat man. "We could be your friends." He moved closer till he was standing right on top of the rock we'd been working. I knew we had to flee. I grabbed my bag and slammed my hammer on the man's toe. I yelled, "Hi, run!" She took off first like a deer, flying over the rocks. I also found the strength to hop from one rock to another. The man screamed when I smashed his foot and then yelled after us, "Hey, you can't get away from us." They were clumsy and didn't have our agility or youth. I followed Hi. She looked back to make sure I was with her. The men were still within a few yards of us, but falling back more and more. We ran for what seemed forever before we couldn't see them anymore. We stopped, catching our breath. We both looked back, but we didn't see them. We both needed water. Hi motioned me forward. "Come on, we'll get some water. It is not much further." I couldn't wait. I was parched. I was so hot. I'd used all my energy on the run. I was in better shape than I was, but somehow I was able to be close to her. Then I heard a spring trickling down the hill. I just wanted to throw myself in the water, but she held me back. "We must give thanks to the mountain first." I didn't contest her. I just followed her lead. She knelt down next to it and with her arms high in the sky said, "Thank you, mountain, for your generous water." I repeated what she said. Only after I'd finished did she put our water sacks in the water. I was so hot. I poured water over my head, cooling me down. I suppose Hi didn't mind the heat as much as I did. I wasn't used to this hot, muggy weather. We sat on the side of the stream resting. "Where shall we go?" I asked Hi. Things did not seem to be going well. Why couldn't I just find a diamond? Then we could go home. All I want is one stone and then we can go. With that, Hi took off her necklace and gave it to me. "Take this. Now you have a stone and we can leave. I'm scared of the Modri tribe finding us, or those men. It doesn't seem safe here. We should go back to your ship." I felt the stone in my hand. It was lovely, but it wasn't the same as finding my own stone. I too was scared. "I have an idea. We'll go back to town and meet Menace at Axe. We can bring them with us. Those men wouldn't mess with them." I could see she was reluctant to return. "Please consider not returning. Let's just find your friends." Then from behind us came the loud, growling voice. "Friends? We're your friends." It was the fat man. I couldn't believe they caught up to us. "Run!" I yelled to Hi, but before I could get away, the skinny man was on me. He grabbed both my arms and pulled them behind my back quickly, roping my wrists. I was trapped. I tried fighting, kicking, and even spitting in his face. Didn't help. Hi also was grabbed and roped by the fat man. She fought like I did. We were caught. There was nothing we could do. The fat man grabbed Hi's hair, pulling her head back. "As I said, Mr. Pilo will want to meet you." They dragged us across the rocks, not caring Hi was almost naked with the rock continually scraping her knees and legs when she fell. Luckily, I still wore pants in my male attire. I was lucky I still appeared to be male to them. I could see the skinny man trying to touch Hi in her privates. They didn't try it on me, but I was terrified. After negotiating the rocks, we finally came to a road that we hadn't seen before. It was lined with horrible pricker plants. They dragged us to the road through the prickers. I got covered in them. I was glad we were on a road finally, but I wasn't seeing any escape. I tried to wriggle out of the ropes that wound around my wrists, but I couldn't. Plus the other end was held by the smelly, greasy, skinny man. "What do you want us for?" I asked. The fat man laughed. "It's Pilo. He doesn't like people to steal from him." "We didn't steal from him. You have no right tying us up like this, I blasted at him. The skinny man laughed. You have no rights. This is Pilo land. You wait, my friends will come and they won't be happy, you treating us this way. They ignored me as I struggled against the ropes, trying to pull them off of the skinny man's hand. The fat man turned to me. He pulled his hand back, hitting me so hard I almost went down. Shut your mouth, he growled. I realized I had to wait to find a time to escape. Hai hadn't fought as much as I did. She looked like she'd given up. She was crying. I couldn't believe this was happening. I would find a way out. They continued dragging us down the road until we reached a shack. It sat above a giant circular hole in the ground. The mine. It was huge and noisy. There were many men with large pickaxes striking the rock, creating the noise. There were many levels going down in the earth. I couldn't see how many. The men looked skinny, and most had only ragged pants on and looked dirty. I feared they would make us go down in that hole. The fat man yelled out, Pilo, come see what we brought you. A man in better clothes than our captors emerged from the shack. He wore a floppy straw hat and a dirty white shirt and pants. He was medium-sized, middle-aged man with dark, weathered skin. He looked at us and smiled. What do we have here? He walked up to Hai and pinched her breast. Both of us were horrified. Nice, he turned to me. Sounding very disappointed, he said, Puny, but still a worker. They were trying to dig a hole on the other side. Didn't find anything, said the skinny man. Pilo smiled. So sorry. Hope you can dig some for me. Here, boy. He was addressing me. All right, put her inside. Put him to work out here. He pointed to the layers of diggings before me where there were probably 20 to 40 men working. The fat man grabbed me, pushing me towards the diggings while I was pushed into the shack by the skinny man. I guess I was lucky they didn't know I was a girl. He led me down and around for a few levels before we reached a digger. The fat man pushed me down next to him. He cut my ropes and addressed the skinny, half-naked man before me. He'll work here with you. Make sure we get some diamonds today. Pilo wants results, or he'll let me use his whip on you. The man's hair was straggly and wet from perspiration. His skin was dark, burnt, and covered in sweat. I could see the fear in the man's dirty face. When he bent down to get his pickaxe, I could see his back. He'd obviously been whipped before. He was about to hand me the pickaxe and stopped. You think you can use this? He asked me. The fat man heard it as he walked away and turned back to me. He'll use it, or the whip can find him too. He gave me the pickaxe. It was heavy. I could barely lift it, let alone smash a rock with it. When the fat man got out of earshot, the man whispered, Try. If he sees you're not, he'll be back. He's a horrible demon. I tried to smash at the rock wall around us. I didn't have the strength to even knock a shard off. The man could see that. I'm Essay. The fat man is Goran and his partner Neem. Then I heard screaming from the shack. It was Hai. Nobody had to explain what was happening. Like I said, try or they'll whip you, the man said. Essay had picked up another rock and hammered the wall in front of us. I picked up the axe, but my attention was on Hai's scream. I was so scared tears ran down my face. Please, hammer, said Essay. I tried, but it was futile. My energy was gone, and I was so distraught over Hai I couldn't get anything off the rock wall. My friend, I tried to speak to Essay. Don't think about it. You have to. We need to find diamonds. He continued hammering. He distracted me for a moment. How often do you find a diamond? Not often enough, he whispered. Tough to find a good one. Sometimes just tiny things. You have to work to find one. I continued my attempt to bang the pickaxe at the wall. I was terrified. How was I going to get out of here? I was terrified for Hai, too. Her screaming continued. And suddenly it stopped. I looked up to the shack to see if I could see anything. After a few minutes, Garen and Neem walked out of the door smiling, hiking up their pants. I wondered if they killed her, too. I had to find a way to escape. I would die here if I didn't. I whispered to Essay, Can you escape this place? If I coulda, I would have. They chain us up at night so we can't move. Look around. I looked around the pit. There were guards all around the edge of the pit. My hopes faded, but they were not gone. He was right. I could see about 20 men armed with swords scattered about the top of the mine hole. That was scary. My mind was racing as to how I could get by all these men. I knew I had to escape or die. I would try whatever I could. Garen walked down to see my progress. I stepped up, my hacking at the wall. "Come on, find the diamonds," he shouted. "Where's my friend?" I asked. "She's in the shack. Don't worry about her. We're taking care of her." He laughed. It creeped me out. He was so disgusting looking. I couldn't imagine him touching her. Anger rose within me. I continued to hit the rock, thinking it was him and his friends. I had to come up with a plan to get High and I out of there. We were slaves. They made sure we all sat together outside after it got dark. Only a bowl of watery broth was our dinner. Made me sick to taste it, but I needed nourishment if I was going to escape. High continued screaming throughout dinner. Then I couldn't hear her anymore. There was a lot of yelling coming from the shack. "You did it," I heard Pilo shout. "No, it was Neem. He did it." There was a small light in the corner of the shack, just enough to see the entrance to the shack. After the screaming, the door shot open. Goran held High in his arms. It was obvious. She was dead. I gasped with fear and vowed to get out and come back with Tarber to kill these horrible people. I watched as they took her body away. I was sick and angry. In my mind, I devised a plan to escape. I knew it wouldn't be easy, but I'd rather die than be here. The next day was like the day before, lots of digging. Again, it was beastly hot. The men gave us little water during the day, leaving me parched, hot, and tired. With as much effort as I could muster, I swung the axe next to where Essie was working. I knew Goran and Neem would monitor our work throughout the day, checking to see if we found any diamonds. It was late in the day when I finally broke off a shard, and with it was a diamond. Quickly, I put it in my pocket so nobody could see. I also put the shard in my pocket. It was sharp. That was the only weapon I had. Although I continued to work, I tried to conserve my energy, watching Goran and Neem, and when they weren't looking, I'd rest. Finally, the sun went down and it was time to be chained up. Neem left Goran and Pilo talking at the shack. When we finished work, they led us to the front and made us sit on the ground. They would do 10 people at a time. Neem would snap his whip, forcing us to sit. He would then wrap the chains around our feet and then clasp a lock on the chain to keep us connected. I watched as he started at the beginning of the line, chaining each worker's feet together. I was ready. When Neem bent down next to me to get my legs, I opened my shirt, exposing my breasts. He smiled and grabbed them. Instead of chaining me with the others, he took advantage of my breasts. I was ready. My nice sharp shard from the rock did its work. With a quick slash, I cut his throat. His warm blood ran over me. I pushed his body away. Goran and Pilo never heard his final chokings. The other slaves watched me, waiting for the opportunity for me to find the key to unlock the chains. I was quick to take the key from Neem's body to unlock the chains. Within minutes, we were all free. I flew into the darkness. I didn't really know where I was going. I was hoping it was the direction that High and I had come from. I was filled with anger and fear. I felt no remorse for cutting Neem's throat. I was in a good way away before I heard the screams of men fighting. They must have been discovered. I had no idea what was happening, but I knew I had to run back to the ship. However, I had no idea where I was or how to get back there. Also, I had to avoid being found by the natives. Rather than sticking to the road, I cut across the mountain with all the boulders and sliding rock. The moon gave me some light so I could discern the rocks ahead of me, but I still tripped over rocks, trying desperately to get as far away from the mine as possible. Fear spurned me forward. I had no idea if I was being followed, but I wasn't going to stop until I found a safe place. Perhaps I could find the cave we were in. I really was lost. I climbed until I couldn't climb anymore. Then I collapsed between the rocks. As I lay there, I heard something. It was the trickle of water. I forced myself up to go to the direction of the sound. Finally, I found the stream. I had a much-needed drink. I no longer had a skin for water or any food for that matter. I guess I should be happy I was alive. I drank as much as I could and then fell asleep in a more secure area nearby with large boulders. I woke in pain. My whole body was cramped up from lying on the rocks. I had to stretch everything out just to stand up. I was so hungry, thirsty too, so I made my way back to the stream, washed my face, and got a drink. I was a filthy mess having been in that mine digging. I'm sure I smelled too, so I tried to clean more of myself with just water. I looked down at my shirt that was covered in blood. I wanted so bad to take that shirt off. It was like that horrible man that killed Hai was on me. I was glad I'd killed him. I stood looking there. The sun was rising. That was the direction the ship arrived from. I just needed to follow that direction to get back to the ship. I knew I was still in danger from the natives, the miners, and possibly a panther. I had no weapon. When I finally got through the rocky area, I entered the jungle, fearful that I'd see a snake or worse. I decided to make a weapon. I knew I was in danger from possibly many things. I was going to be prepared. I was so scared and angry about everything. I found a stick, and I thought that might work. It was pointed on one end and long enough to keep something from grabbing me. I also picked up some vines. I stripped off the leaves, thinking I could use that as a rope. I really didn't know what else I could use it for, but thought it might come in handy somehow. I crept cautiously through the jungle as if I was a panther. I was on alert at all times, wondering if I would make it through this jungle. I remembered the natives leading me through this jungle or perhaps another. I could not be sure of much. Plus, now that I was in the jungle, I'd lost my son. The foliage prevented me from seeing where the sun was. Bugs plagued me. I was constantly hitting them, leaving more blood on me. I was hungry and searched to see if I could find some food. After traveling for a couple hours, I found some fruit dangling from a tree. I saw a monkey eating one, so I figured I could eat it too. I grabbed as many as I could carry, which wasn't much. The fruit was a little tart, but it was better than nothing. In the distance, I could see the jungle opening up. My heart leapt. I had to be close to Telly. I picked up my pace, then I stopped. I recognized the native village. I was terrified. Quickly, I went back so I could go around it. I did not want another encounter with them. I jumped at every sound. I needed to get far away from them. I stayed in the jungle for another couple hours before I could allow myself to venture forward and into an open field of grass. I stopped. I couldn't see any village, just grass leading to the sea. I was so glad to see the sea. It had to take me back to Telly and my ship. I walked towards the sandy beach, then I saw two figures walking towards me. I stopped, terrified. I held my stick, ready to strike. I looked around. Where could I run to? The sea was my only choice. I ran towards the water. I was a good swimmer, and I thought I might have a better chance swimming away from them than I heard them calling, "Rulon! Rulon!" I couldn't believe it. I stopped and looked at them as they ran towards me. It was Tarber and the captain. I wanted to cry. I did cry. Tarber, Captain. I threw my weapons on the ground and ran into their arms. You came for me. Tarber held me close. Of course. Menace and Axe returned for help to find you. You look awful, said the captain. I could see he was looking at my bloody shirt. What happened? Too much, I cried. Tarber continued to hold me. We know you are Ermima. That made me cry. I'm sorry I lied. The captain put his hand in mine. We don't care about that. You're okay. That is what is important. I continued crying. Tarber picked me up and carried me like a child. We'll get you back to the ship. Menace and Axe are still searching. They will be back by sundown, said the captain. Don't worry. You need to clean up and get some food in you. I was surprised the captain seemed so concerned. It was nice to not have to struggle walking over rock and being carried by this big man. I was so grateful they'd found me. I think either I fell asleep or passed out in Tarber's arms because I didn't remember anything until we reached the ship. The whole crew was waiting and screaming for joy at my return. Tarber continued to carry me to my sling. I cried every step he took to my little storage room. I was so grateful to be back. I think they could tell by my incessant crying that they just needed to leave me alone. Tarver gently put me down on my sling. They both looked at me as if I would break. Perhaps I was in my mind. Just the memories of what I'd been through tore through me. "Where's Menace and Axe?" I blurted out. Suddenly I was more aware. Where were they? Fear ran through me. Tarver patted my hand comfortingly. "I told you. They're looking for you." Tarver stood over me. The captain sat on a crate next to me. I worried about Menace and Axe. Who knows what could happen to them? Menace was an old man. I didn't know if he could take care of himself on such a hostile place. Axe was just a skinny guy who'd probably be helpless to help Menace. Over and over these thoughts ran through my brain. Through a cry I said, "You have no idea what I've been through." I was so scared to reveal what I'd been through. I was so ashamed that I killed a man, even though I was glad he was dead. They must have sensed from my face and the way I said they would have no idea what I'd been through, that I should be alone. The captain told me he'd be back with food and coffee. Then he sent a look to Tarver before he left, as if to leave me be. "Don't talk, just relax. You're back. Everything will be okay," said the captain. I wanted to tell them how very dangerous it was. "They have to come back safe," I told myself. I wanted to sleep, but I couldn't, worrying about Menace and Axe. The captain returned with a tray of food for me. "Here's some food. Pinmore fixed it, and the coffee. I'm just delivering it." I sat up and without hesitation grabbed a roll and some butter, quickly stuffing it in my mouth. The captain sat on the crate across from me, watching me eat. "I'm sorry, Mia, for now. I've behaved. If I'd known I was a girl," I asked, shocked that he wouldn't even intimate that. "You mean you wouldn't have been so mean about your father if you'd known I was a girl?" I shocked him with that. He paused a moment and then said, "Thank you." I looked up at him in amazement. "I've been very stupid, and I realize now that my father is very important to me. I was wrong." I couldn't believe it. "You mean you and Menace have made up?" "Pretty much. It took your disappearance to bring us to our senses." I was so happy. "I'm so glad, but I'm very worried about Menace and Axe. That island is horrible." "Don't worry, they'll be fine. When you finish eating, get some sleep." "Okay. Promise." I continued devouring the stew Penmore had made, then lay back on my sling. "Maybe if I fall asleep," I told myself, "I'll wake up and the nightmare will be over."